Alright, Karina baby, from A Year Full of Stories. You know, today is the 11th, so it's Imogen, Imagine Claire. Okay. Imagine Claire hasn't a care. She will not brush or comb her hair, or wash her face, or blow her nose, but we suppose that as she grows, she will get better. I think that she will. As little girls grow up, they become more into, and little boys, as they grow up, they become more into self-care. So I think that she will get better. All right, our next story for today out of the fairy tale book is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in the middle of winter, when the snowflakes were falling like feathers on the earth, a queen sat at her window, framed in black ebony, and sewed. And as she sewed, she gazed out of her out on the white landscape, and pricked her finger with the needle, and 3 drops of blood fell on the snow outside. Because the red showed up as well against the white, the queen said to herself, "Oh, what would I not give to have a child as white as snow, and as red as blood, and black as ebony." As her wish was granted, for not long afterwards a little daughter was born to her, with a skin as white as snow, lips and cheeks as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. They called her Snow White, and not long after her birth the queen died. After a year the king married again. His new wife was a beautiful woman, but so proud and overbearing that she could not stand any rival to her beauty. The new queen possessed a magic mirror, and when she stood before it, gazed at her own reflection and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And it always replied, "Thou, queen, art the fairest of all." Now, I wonder what the fairest of all is in the books, because the fairest of all the land, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what, there's always going to be somebody who someone perceives as more beautiful than somebody else, right? Beauty is a perception, but beauty really isn't the outside masking that you have. Beauty is what? It's from the heart. I tell you this all the time. You are a beautiful little girl, Karina, because your heart is absolutely gorgeous. It's not really the outside appearance of things that should be taken into account as beauty. That's not where beauty is. Beauty is the space between your ears, the way that you think and perceive, and just the way that you live your life. And it comes from your heart, the way that you love, and the way that you give, and the way that you just are. Right? I know that you are absolutely perfect within this quality because I know how beautiful your heart and your mind is. I know it because I know you. Alright, so let's go on. And as it always replied, "Thou, queen, art the fairest of all." Then she was quite happy, for she knew the mirror always spoke the truth. But Snow White was growing prettier and prettier every day, and when she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as she could be, and fairer than even the queen herself. One day when the queen asked her mirror, as usual, questions, it replied, "Thou art fair, my queen, this true, but Snow White is fairer far than you." So, the mirror perceived the outward perception of beauty, right? And said that the little girl was prettier than the woman who is growing and maturing and becoming even more beautiful in her own right, even if her physical beauty is fading. Her mind should be growing and expanding to be even more beautiful, caring and understanding and compassionate towards other people's situations, but instead she's just worried about the physical appearance of things, which is something we shouldn't do. Then the queen flew into the most awful passion and turned every shade of green in her jealousy. Now, what do we know about jealousy? Jealousy is not something that we ever want to have within ourselves. People get what they get and you get what you get. You are going to have something different than someone else gets. So if your birthday party is, a walk through the woods and someone else's birthday party is they get a castle, and they get a bouncy castle, and they get beautiful cakes, and they get whatever. That's what they get, and you have to be grateful that that's what they get, and you have to be grateful for what you get. No matter what, you have to be grateful and content within your own situation, because your home is your body. It's where you eat, and it's where you sleep every single day, no matter where you are. So you have to keep your mind on the more important things in life, not jealousy of someone else got this or they got that. That stuff doesn't matter in the long run anyway. What matters is the way that you think, and the way that you eat, and the way that you perceive things, and the way that you do things, and that you're keeping your body, which is your temple, a good, safe, loving environment for yourself and for others, and that you are caring and compassionate towards everyone else's situation, including your own. Alright, so she turned every shade of green in her jealousy. From this hour she hated poor Snow White, and every day her envy, hatred, and malice grew. For envy and jealousy are like evil weeds which spring up and choke the heart. That is the most true statement I've ever heard about jealousy. Jealousy are like evil weeds which spring up and choke the heart. At last she could endure Snow White's presence no longer, and called for her huntsman to her, and said, "Take the child out into the wood, and never let her see her face again. You must kill her, and bring me back her lungs and heart, so that I may know for certain she is dead." The huntsman did as he was told, and led Snow White out into the wood. But as he was in the act of drawing out his knife to slay her, she said, "Oh, dear huntsman, spare my life. I promise you that I will disappear into the forest and never return home again." Because she was so young and pretty, the huntsman had pity on her and said, "Well, run along, poor child." For he thought the wild beast would soon find her and eat her up. And his heart felt lighter because he hadn't had to do the deed himself. As he turned away, a young boar came running past. So he shot it and brought its lungs and hearts home to the queen, and as proof that Snow White was really dead. And the wicked woman had them stewed into salt and ate them, thinking that she made an end of Snow White forever. Now when the poor child found herself alone in the big wood, very trees seemed like strange shapes, and she felt so frightened she didn't know what to do. Over the sharp stone and through the bramble bushes she stumbled, and the wild beasts ran past her, but they did not harm her. She ran as far as her little legs would carry her, and as evening drew in, she saw a little house and stepped inside to rest. Everything was very small in the house, but very clean and neat. In the middle of the room there stood a little table covered with a white tablecloth, and 7 little plates and forks and spoons and knives and tumblers. Side by side against the wall there were 7 little beds covered with immaculate white counterpanes. Snow White felt so hungry and so thirsty she ate a bit of the bread as a morsel, and a morsel of porridge for every plate, and drank a drop of wine out of every tumbler. Then, feeling tired and sleepy, she lay down on one of the beds, but it wasn't comfortable. Then she tried all the other ones in turn, but one was too long, another was too short, and it was only when she tried the 7th that she found out that it suited her very well. It was exactly the right proportions. So she lay down upon it, said her prayers like a good child, and soon fell fast asleep. When it was quite dark, the masters of the little house returned. They were 7 dwarfs. They worked in the mines, deep down into the heart of the mountains. They lighted their 7 little candles, and soon as their eyes were accustomed to the glare, they saw that someone had been in the room, for all was not in the same order as they had left it. The first said, "Who has been sitting on my chair?" The second said, "Who has been eating my loaf?" The third said, "Who has been tasting my porridge?" The fourth said, "Who has been eating out of my plate?" The fifth said, "Who has been using my fork?" The sixth said, "Who has been cutting with my knife?" The seventh said, "Who has been drinking out of my tumbler?" They all had something a little bit missing, right? All seven of them are like, who did this? They all noticed something different, even though she took the same amount from everyone, right? Then the first dwarf looked around and saw a hollow in his bed. And he asked, "Who has been laying on my bed?" And the others came running around and cried when they saw their beds, "Somebody has lain on ours too." But when the seventh came to his bed, he started back in amazement, for there he beheld Snow White fast asleep. Then he called the others, who turned their little candles full on the bed, and when they saw Snow White lying there, they nearly fell down with surprise. "Goodness gracious," they cried, "what a beautiful child she is!" They were so enchanted by her beauty that they did not wake her, but let her sleep on in the little bed. The seventh George slept with his companion 1 hour in each bed, and in this way he managed to pass the night. In the morning Snow White awoke, and when she saw the 7 little dwarfs, she felt frightened, but they were so friendly, and asked her what her name was, in such a kind way that she replied, "I am Snow White." "Why did you come to our house?" continued the 7th dwarf. Then she told them how her stepmother had wished her to be put to death, and how the queen's huntsman had spared her life, and how she had run all day until she had come to their little house. The dwarf, when they had heard her sad story, asked her, "Will you stay and keep house for us, cook, make the beds, and do the washing, sew and knit? If you keep everything neat and clean, you shall want for nothing." What a good man, right? They're all good men. They're like, if you keep things nice and straight, you can stay. That's awesome. "Yes," answered Snow White, "I will gladly do as you ask." What a good woman, right? She's being a good girl. And she lived happily with them. Every morning the dwarfs went into the mountains to dig for gold, and in the evening when they returned home, Snow White always had their supper ready for them. But during the day she was left quite alone. There she is, sleeping in the bed with them surrounding her. Seeing how beautiful her black hair is, her rosy cheeks, and her white skin. Good dwarfs warned her, saying, "Beware of your stepmother. She will soon find out you are here, and whatever you do, don't let anyone into the house." Now the queen never dreamed but that she was once more the most beautiful woman in all the world. She stopped before the mirror one day and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror replied, "You are fair, my queen, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer far than you. Snow White, who dwells with the 7 little men, and is as fair as you, and as fair as you, and as fair again." When the queen heard those words, she was nearly struck dumb with horror, for the mirror always spoke the truth. She knew now that the huntsman must have deceived her, and that Snow White was still alive. She pondered day and night how she might destroy her, for her jealous heart left her no rest. At last she hit upon a plan. She strained her face and dressed herself into an old peddler woman, so that she was quite unrecognizable. In this gaze, she went over to the 7 hills till she came to the house of the 7 dwarfs. There she knocked on the door, calling out at the same time, "Fine wares to sell! Fine wares to sell!" Snow White peeped out of the window and spoke to her. "Good day, my kind lady. What have you to sell?" "Good wares, fine wares," she answered, "lace of every shade and description." And she held one up that was made of a gaily colored silk. Surely I can let this honest woman in, said Snow White, and she unbarred the door and bought the pretty lace. Good gracious, child, said the old woman, what a figure you have. Come, I'll lace you up properly for once. Snow White, suspecting no evil, stood before her and let her lace up her bodice. But the old woman laced her so quickly and so tightly that it took Snow White's breath away, and she fell down as though she were dead. Now you are no longer the fairest, said the wicked old woman, and then she hastened away. In the evening the 7 dwarfs came home, and what a fright they had when they saw their dear Snow White laying on the floor, and still and motionless as a dead person. They lifted up her tenderly, and when they saw how tightly laced she was, they cut the lace, and she began to breathe a little and gradually came back to life. When the dwarfs heard what happened, they said, depend upon it, the old peddler woman was none other than the queen. In the future you must be sure to let no one inside if we are not at home. See, don't let anyone inside the house when no one else is home, baby. Never do that. I don't care who they are. I don't care how nice they sound. I don't care where they came from. Don't let anyone into the house. Keep that door bolted. I don't care if they say they're a cop or not. You don't open that door. You don't open the door no matter what. All right? If Papa or Mama's not home, or if someone's not home with you, you don't open that door. That's what they're trying to tell her. Don't open the door. She's just a little girl. She opened the door and she shouldn't. As soon as the wicked old queen reached home, she went straight to her mirror and said, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all? And the mirror answered as before, You are fair, my queen, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer far than you. Snow White, who dwells with the 7 little men, is as fair as you, and as fair again. When she heard this, the queen became as pale as death, because she knew at once that Snow White must still be alive. 'Tis time, she said to herself, I will think of something that will make an end of her at once and for all. And by the witchcraft which she understood so well, she made a poisonous comb. Then she dressed herself up in the form of another old woman. So she went over the 7 hills till she reached the house of the 7 dwarfs and knocked on the door. She called out, Fine wares for sale, fine wares for sale. Snow White looked out of the window and said, You must go away, for I must not let anyone in. But surely you are not forbidden to look out. Clever, clever. But surely you are not forbidden to look out this door. Karina, if someone tells you that you don't open that door, you don't unlatch that door, you don't know. You say, once again, I'm not allowed to open this door. You leave that door locked. Asked the old woman, and she held up the poisonous comb for her to see. It pleased the girl so much that she opened the door. When they had settled their bargain, the old woman said, Come, I'll comb your hair properly. Poor Snow White suspected no evil, but hardly had the comb touched her hair that the poison worked, and she fell down unconscious. Once again, this little girl's unconscious. That's not good. Now, my fine lady, you're really done for this time, said the wicked woman, and she made her way home as fast as she could. Fortunately, it was near evening, and the 7 dwarfs came home. When they saw Snow White laying there as if dead on the ground, they at once suspected that the wicked queen had begun at work again. So they searched till they found the poisonous comb, and the moment they pulled it out of her hair, Snow White came to life again, and told them what had happened. They once more warned her not to open the door to no one. As soon as the queen was home, she went straight to her mirror and asked, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all? And it replied as before, You are fair, my queen, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer far than you, Snow White who dwells with the 7 little men. is fair as you, and as fair again." When she heard those words, she literally shook with rage. "Snow White shall die," she cried. "Yes, though it cost me my own life." Then she went to a secret chamber which no one knew of but herself, and there she made a poisonous apple. Outwardly it looked beautiful, half white and half red. Anyone who saw it would long to eat it. When the apple was finished, she stained her face and dressed herself up as a peasant, and went over the 7 hills to the house of the 7 dwarfs. She knocked at the door, but Snow White put her head out the window and called, "I may not let anyone in. The 7 dwarfs have forbidden me to do so." "Are you afraid of being poisoned?" asked the old woman. "See, I will cut this apple in half. I will eat the white cheek, and you can eat the red." The apple was so cunningly made that only the red cheeks was poisonous. Snow White longed to eat the tempting fruit, and when she saw that the peasant woman was eating it herself, she couldn't resist the temptation any longer, and stretched out her hand and took the poisonous half. But hardly had the first bite passed her lips that she fell down dead on the ground. Then the eyes of the cruel queen sparkled, and laughing aloud, she cried, "As white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as ebony. And this time the dwarves won't be able to bring you back to life." When she reached home, she asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And this time it replied, "Thou, queen, are the fairest of all." Then her jealous heart was at rest, at last, as much at rest as a jealous heart can ever be. For a jealous heart is never at rest. Ever. If you're jealous of the kids who got cars when they were in high school and then you didn't because, maybe we can't afford to get you one, your heart will never be at rest. If you get jealous of somebody who gets the nice, pretty, fancy house and gets the 10 kids and gets, you'll never be at rest. People get what they get, baby. And this life, not everyone gets what they want, Life isn't fair and it will never be fair. So having a jealous heart is just going to destroy you instead. So have a humble heart. Be humble in all situations. I don't care what you have or what you don't have. Be humble and be content in what you have. Because if you're content and you're humble, you'll always be fine. And you can survive anywhere. I don't care where you want to survive, whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else. You can survive anywhere, baby. You really can. Mama's going to teach you how to survive. Because you can. I love you. I will always love you. I will always love you, my baby. When the little dwarfs came home in the evening, they found Snow White laying on the ground, and she neither breathing nor stirred. They lifted her up and looked everywhere to see if they could find anything poisonous about. They unlaced her bodice, combed her hair, washed her with water and wine. But it was in vain. The child was dead and remained dead. Then they placed her on a briar. And the 7 dwarves sat around it, weeping and sobbing for 3 whole days. At last they made up their minds to bury her, but she looked as blooming and as a living being. She looked as blooming and as a living being, and her cheeks were still such a lovely color that they said, "We cannot hide her away in the dark ground." So they had a coffin made of transparent glass, and they laid her in it and wrote on the lid in golden letters that she was a royal princess. And then they put the coffin on top of the mountain, and one of the dwarves always remained beside it to keep watch over it. And the very birds of the air came and bewailed Snow White's death. Now, they were able to stay by her side no matter what when she was dead, but when she was alive, they left her home alone all day. That doesn't make any sense to me. One of them could have stayed home every day and babysat her. White's death. For an owl, and then a raven, and then a little dove. Snow White lay a long time in the coffin, and she always looked the same. just as if she were fast asleep, remaining as white as snow, as red as blood, and her hair as black as ebony. Now it happened one day that the prince came to the wood and passed by the dwarf's house. He saw the coffin in the hill, with the beautiful Snow White inside. And when he had read the golden letters, they were written there, he said to the dwarf, "Give me the coffin. You shall have whatever you ask." But the dwarf said, "No, we wouldn't part with it for all the gold in all the world." Then he replied, "Give it to me only because I cannot live without Snow White. I will cherish and love her as my dearest possession." He spoke so sadly that the good dwarfs had pity on him and gave him the coffin, and the prince made his servants bear it away on their shoulders. As they were going down the hill, they stumbled over a bush and jolted the coffin so violently that the poisonous bit of apple fell out of Snow White's mouth. She opened her eyes, lifted up her lid of the coffin, and sat up alive and well. "Oh dear, where am I?" she cried. The prince answered joyfully, "You are with me." He told her what had happened, adding, "Snow White, I love you better than anyone in the whole wide world. Will you come with me to my father's palace and be my wife?" Snow White consented and went with him, and the marriage was celebrated with great pomp and splendor. Now Snow White's wicked stepmother was one of the guests invited to the wedding feast. When she had dressed herself very splendidly for the occasion, she went to the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror answered, "You are fair, my queen, 'tis true, but the prince's bride is fairer, as much more fair than you, fairer far than you." When the wicked woman heard these words, she was beside herself with rage and mortification. At first she didn't want to go to the wedding, but at the same time she felt she could never be happy till she had seen the young queen. As she entered, Snow White recognized her and nearly fainted with fear, but red-hot iron shoes had been prepared especially for the wicked old queen. And she was made to get into them and dance till she fell down dead. The wicked queen, who had a jealous heart, who was trying to kill poor Snow White, had to now dance in shoes that were very hot. And then she was no longer able to live. Alright, Karina baby, I like that story a lot because it tells you a lot about jealousy and about people being unfair to each other. Alright? This life is very unfair, and it's going to continue to be unfair because that's just the way that it is. Nothing in life will ever be fair. And that's okay. We are here to experience every single day, every single second of our lives. We are here to feel and taste things and just use our senses and go places and do things and to have the little bit of freedoms that we do have. We are here. Our heart is beating, our mind is going. We have to just keep going ourselves. Karina baby, I see you from every single wall in my room every single day now. I'm so glad I put up these photos of you. I'm so glad that I have them. I've had them forever. Like, since, but I'm just so glad to have a space that I feel I'm staying at and to have your photos up. Mama is very, very blessed in so many ways. Mama is just blessed. And, I don't have everything that I want. I want you. I want you in my arms. I want to be reading you books, and I want to be feeding you and taking you places and doing good things with you. I want you to be having your homeschool education. I don't want you on the computers. I don't want you, doing a whole bunch of TV time, computer screen time. Mama's not into that. Mama wants you to be used to going places and doing things. Mama's used to going places and doing things, which is why I don't watch TV or movies. It's really hard for me to sit down and watch a 2-hour movie, and take up 2 hours of my day doing that. It's really hard for me to watch a 30-minute TV show and be okay with it. I mean, unless it's like a TV show I really, really like, or a movie that I'm really, really into. I really like documentaries. I really like stuff about quantum mechanics and stuff like that. The stuff I'm trying to teach you is the stuff I'm trying to figure out myself, right? So we're learning together when we do it. But yeah, I just love you and I miss you. And you know, it's great to be here. It's great to be where I'm at. It's great to be with who I'm with. It is. You know, but Mama's a runner. And like sometimes, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much stuff. But other times it's like, well, I need my days to go quickly because I want to get back to you. I want to get back to you. I just want to get back to you because I love you. And I miss you so much. I love when I dream about you because in my dream I'm holding you and I just have you. And I wake up though and I don't have you. So it's sad. But Mama's just trying to keep going forward. And I know you're trying to do the same. And eventually we'll be back together. It's promised in the tour. It really is. Let's do swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Well, sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down, coming forth to carry me home. But still I feel my soul is heavenly bound, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Now if you get there before I do, coming forth to carry me home. You know my word is good, you know my word is true, coming forth and carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. You know that I love you. I'll be coming home to you soon. You know my word is good, you know my word is true. Coming forth and just carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth and carry me home. Karina baby, I just love you and I just miss you and I can't wait to see you. Today's Friday. So let's sign Friday. You take your F and you spin it. You sign day. Morning to night, right? Day. So today's Friday. So what's today? It's Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom, it's our day of rest when it hits dusk. Shabbat Shalom is a day I love best. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Every Friday Eve I get that Shabbos glow. Shabbat Shalom is our day of rest. Shabbat Shalom is a day I love best. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Every Friday Eve I get that Shabbos glow. Shabbat Shalom is our day of rest. Shabbat Shalom is the day I love best. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Baby, happy Shabbos. That means that from dusk on Friday to dusk on Saturday, we do prayers and we light candles and we sing and we just rest. We just rest all day on Saturday. There's no electricity back like if we were doing the Orthodox way. There's no electricity, there's no anything. You don't cook, you don't anything, you just rest, and you know, you do what's relaxing to you, and you think about your week, and you think about the things that you can make better during that week. Everything's reflection, which is a good thing. It's good to sit down and reflect on your life and to really check in with yourself and be like, how am I doing today? And it's nice to have a day where you could just do that. You could read the Torah, read the Bible, and, well, you're not really supposed to read on Shabbos. You're not supposed to do anything on Shabbos. You're really not. Like, you're not supposed to do anything. But it's 2020, and it's just what it is. A lot of people drive now on Saturday, and they go places, and, you know, they do things that are relaxing to them, which I think that God would be fine with. Honestly, I think that Yahweh would be fine with, you know, our type of rest in 2020. You know, it's not the same type of rest that they had all the way back in the day, you know? But I love you, baby. I love you so much. Let's do Lila Tove. Lila Tove, and good night to you. Lila Tove, may your dreams come true. We sing Lila Tove, may Israel protect you throughout the night until we reach the morning light. Karina, baby, no matter what, I love you. And like Papa used to always say, Mama's his sun, Papa's my moon, and you are quite literally our rainbow baby, and we both love you no matter what. Mama and Papa are going to have to start working together eventually. It's going to have to happen, whether Papa likes it or not. Something I've been saying to him since I met him, you know, all those years ago, 15 years ago. Karina, baby, I love you, and I miss you more than anything in the world. I really do. I love you and I miss you. It's torture. It's complete and total torture to not be able to have your living child on you. It's complete and total torture not to have your babies. Any baby. It's complete and total torture. I love you and I miss you. I miss you so much, and I know how beautiful and how perfect you are, and I love you and I miss you. I can't wait to see you. I love you, my baby.